Hey y'all, how y'all doing? This is your girl Tysheen. How you feeling? How you doing? Yeah, so I'm gonna be reacting from my boy Nate. Nathaniel, I should say. I said Nate. Nathaniel. His name is Nathaniel. Oh my god. Anyway, Nathaniel, this one is why traveling to Europe is summer is a nightmare. Oh my god. Yeah, that's the only time I don't like to travel. I don't like traveling in the summer. I'd rather just travel like in the winter where it's less tourists, less people. You know, y'all know how I am. When I travel places, I don't like to be around crowd. So yeah. But let's get straight to the video.
One thing I find hilarious about tourism is like people will spend thousands of dollars, all the discomfort that comes with travel, costs so much money, and then they'll tolerate stuff they would never ordinarily tolerate in their normal lives. Like eating not even on real chairs out of a styrofoam box, waiting in long ass lines, sweating their ass off. Look, traveling to Europe in summer is a nightmare. Don't come.
Don't come.
I don't mean that in a xenophobic sense. Obviously, I'm an immigrant here. I love this continent. I love my life here. I love France. I love Paris. I am years into living here. But this continent can provide very different experiences, let's say, depending on where you're coming from, how long you choose to spend here, and what you're doing. Let me ask you this. Why do some people come here and have an amazing experience, and other people come here and end up hating it? You know, I've explored this before, but people seem to have a love-hate relationship with cities or places like Paris. And you think to yourself, is it the same city we're all talking about?
I never understood why when people travel, why you want to go to the city? I mean, if you already live in a country, wherever you're from, and I get it, you want to experience being in a city somewhere in another country, I get it. But a person like me who's from New York, raised here in New York City, I don't want to go to anyone's city. I just don't like the crowd. I'd rather just go like somewhere in the countryside. I'd rather go where like meet people in the meet the locals, you know. I don't know. It's just something about going to city and being around so much people.
Here's the thing. Travel can be so many different things. I've been on many trips in my life.
Some I'd rather be there.
Deeply meaningful, mesmerizing, memorable. And then some trips have not been that. I would describe those other trips as more like superficial and forgettable. And I'm starting to notice patterns in what creates the first kind of trip, the kind of trip that we all want to have, the positive kind, versus the second kind of trip, the negative kind. And I am making this to help you avoid those negative trips. This is why I say don't come to Europe in summer unless you really know what you're getting yourself into. And do not let the long, warm days of summer fool you. This is a very complicated time of year to travel here. So here is the secret. Here's the reason why travel in Europe sucks in summer. It's because people utterly lack creativity. Honestly, and this is going to sound a little bit condescending, but I've made this mistake as well, okay? I've also been a fool. Most people are cheap when they travel. It's that effect, right? Where if you see a bunch of people looking at something, you want to look at it as well. You're like, what's so interesting about that? They take photos of things that get photographed like 4 billion times a day. So instead of spending a fortune, you can get the exact same photo just by Googling it. You know, it's that same law, that same facet of human psychology, which says, a restaurant that is full and busy is better quality than an empty restaurant. Sometimes that's totally true, and sometimes it isn't. And that is how you end up with...
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes it's true. If you see a restaurant that's packed, you most likely their food is good than another restaurant that don't have a lot of customers. It's like,
the problems
like you really don't want to eat there.
Travel in summer here, terrible. Hordes of people, long lines for all tourist attractions or anything to do like museums or bookstores. Everyone is in the exact same places, try to do the exact same things. And because of the laws of supply and demand, because there's so much demand, you're getting seasonal pricing, which is why you end up paying a fortune for a crappy spot. 10, 15 years ago, Airbnb used to be this really cool way of stepping into someone's home. But companies have to make a profit, right? And it's changed. Now, I feel like sometimes I am paying an arm and a leg for a place that feels entirely done just for Airbnb. It's not someone's home. Honestly, if I were to draw it out, I think seasonal pricing would look something like this. Summer is by far the worst. And then, of course, there's a few other moments throughout the year that are tricky. Holiday weekends, the end of the year. But summer is by far the worst extended period. Okay, I'm going to come back to why so many people inexplicably put up with airport insanity and airline chaos. But to properly do that, let me lay out the criteria of what I think makes a wonderful trip. I think this will help make it clear where things are going so wrong. And I have a feeling most of you are going to agree with me on this. I'm looking for authenticity. I want to connect with locals. I don't want a sanitized version of...
I said the same thing. I've been saying it for a long time, that I'd rather be around the locals. I want to talk to people who've been living there all their life. I like to learn a little bit more about their country. I just rather be around the locals than be somewhere where a whole bunch of tourist people they're all at the same place. I don't want to be around those people. I want to be with the locals. I want to sit out. I want to talk to someone and enjoy the scenery. That's what I call a vacation. That's my type of vacation.
Of the culture. I want the real deal. I don't want to feel rushed.
Yes.
I want to expand my mind.
Yes.
I want to feel new things. I want to eat the food.
Yes. That's it. I just want to eat their food.
So having said that, this is why I moved here. Because when you move somewhere permanently, you have way more time to experience what that place has to offer. And as I've said before, years into living here, I have an utterly different experience than what the tourists experience of this city. I know all the places to avoid the tourists. I know when to go out and when not to go out. I'm discovering the hidden gems. I honestly have a midnight in Paris-like experience sometimes, and it's glorious. And that only came after years of navigating the city. And I also recognize you can't just move to the other end of the world every time you want to experience a new culture, which is why we have travel. A temporary visit, a temporary stay somewhere.
Yeah.
And this is why I have preached the value of the next best option, in my view, which is slow travel, which is basically taking your time somewhere, not maximizing the amount of things that you do, but coming in and immersing yourself to the best of your ability. I honestly couldn't give a shit about the tourist attractions. I don't want to feel rushed. I want to just feel the way of life.
Exactly. I feel like when you're going to those type of places, you're not learning a lot about the country. You're not learning a lot. You're going to the tourist area. Everything is rush. You're not really learning much. It's better to go, like he says, it's better to go to the locals and go somewhere and you learn a little bit more because your mind is more at ease. You relax. You're calm, you sit around, you talk to the locals, and you learn a lot from them. But being in tourist areas, I don't get the excitement.
I think spending a proper amount of time in one place is better than doing 14 countries in 7 minutes, which is a very American approach to travel. But can you blame them? They get 2 weeks of vacation a year, so why wouldn't they speedrun Europe? Another problem with traveling here in the summer, people don't adapt. At this stage in the game, the sad reality is that heat waves are going to happen. They happen every summer. Why anyone would want to travel during a heat wave is beyond me. Why would you want to sweat like a pig? Why would you be running to the shade just to survive? It's also dangerous. You can get dehydrated, heat stroke. Personally, I think it's horrible and one of the worst ways to experience a place. The reason I say this is it's just a part of summer at this point, right?
That's why I love Nathaniel. He tells the truth. Okay, he's not lying.
Traveling precisely when heat waves are highly likely to happen is kind of like stepping outside on a rainy November day and getting surprised that you got wet. If you want to have a more authentic experience in any place in the world, even speaking some of the local language will make a huge difference.
Yes.
I say that as someone who is addicted to doing that. I think it's the best way to travel. Really important point to be made here is that for some reason, Europeans seem to love to do construction in summer. I know that the Olympics are happening next summer here in Paris, so there's construction up the yin-yang everywhere you turn. But I think this is also more broadly true for a lot of European cities.
That's New York for you too. New York, we always have construction. There's always something going on here in New York. That's why I don't. Can hear sound. They doing something. So there's always something going on here.
I don't know if it's because of the good weather, the longer days. I don't know what's going on, but it's absolutely insane. Now, there's something else that's sad about traveling here in the summer without any local connections, and that is that the locals aren't here. If you're spending all day outside, in lines, in places where there's, a lot of people going to visit, you're actually spending all day with tourists, not locals. And when the locals leave, it means a lot of shops and venues are closed too. So you're not really getting the full experience. In August, for example, half of Europe is on vacation. This is deeply, deeply culturally ingrained. And you might say, wait a second, you're saying don't come here on vacation in summer, but the locals are doing it. Well, yeah, but you cannot compete with the locals. They've been doing it every year for generations. They have their spots, they go see family, they know where they're going. You can't compete with them. It's not at all the same as coming in here blind from another continent. And so there are ramifications to coming here when the locals aren't here. No locals means no gateway drug into getting invited deeper into the local life. You know, you might run into somebody, make a connection here or there, and then they invite you to a party or to an event. Now, it's not hard to beat the hordes, to beat the heat, to beat the lines, to beat the seasonal pricing. And I'm actually going to illustrate this through a little story. So I have been to Greece twice, and the 2 times I have gone have been utterly different experiences. They couldn't have been more different. The first time I went was a couple of years ago in August. We spent like 4 days, walked around, we visited an island. It was fun. But in the grand scheme of things, honestly looking back, it was pretty forgettable. And I think part of the reason why was because I didn't experience much Greek culture. I didn't meet very many locals. I didn't get like immersed. I felt like a tourist. There were tons of people there. It was shit hot. I just remember sweating so much. Now, the highlight of that trip, of that first visit to Greece, was when I posted on my Instagram stories that I was at a bar, very impromptu. I just said, hey, if you're around, come swing by. I'd love to chat, love to hang out. So a little while later, a group of 3 Greek friends came over and joined us at the table. They were viewers of this channel. They're really excited and they were super cool. We totally connected. And in that one conversation, I learned more about Greece and Greek culture than the entire rest of my time there. It was absolutely the highlight. So we stayed in touch. And flash forward now to January of this year, I decided to return to Greece, this time alone. And I went to visit them. In fact, my express goal this time was to do nothing but spend time with them. So this time around, I was hanging with nothing but Greek people in January.
That is so sweet. That just shows you there's some good people out there in this world. So many good people. That is very nice.
Where there isn't a tourist in sight.
See, I like
not
that.
one tourist. It was extraordinary. I spent time writing. We went on a little road trip through the countryside.
Can you press the button?
Only eat. This is a Greek way to eat the dough.
Amazing experience. And let me add, I got a little bit lucky because the weather was pretty nice. It's January after all, but it's still Southern Europe. And so it was sunny. It wasn't too bad. It was certainly much better than Paris at that time of year. The point of this story is that it's not really actually that hard to have an incredible, unique experience if you're willing to be a little bit
And what I must add also before I forget, it's also cheaper too if you think about it. If you go around the locals and you're hanging around, to be honest, it's a little bit more cheaper, you know, because you're not spending that much. You're just learning about the country and sitting around talking to people, have a little cup of coffee, tea, whatever you drink, and just relax, you know. It doesn't cost you that much.
Creative and go off the beaten path. That was originally how travel worked until it became this giant commercial thing. I do feel like the way travel has become so commercialized. It's a bit dangerous. This kind of tourism disguises itself as mind-expanding cultural travel, right? But it's not the same thing. It's different. It's a very sanitized, superficial version of the real thing. The real thing I think most of us really want. But the thing is, the real thing is not going to be served in a silver platter for you. If it's made that easy, it means tons of other people have access to it too and are probably doing it already. In fact, this is something I believe more broadly for life in general. If you just let other people decide what's best for you, it often leads to something mediocre. You have to think for yourself. You have to be plugged in. If you can go in spring or fall, Europe is glorious. Those are my favorite seasons. And it's more affordable. Go to the places no one else is going. Last year I visited Bulgaria for the first time, and the entire time I was just shocked. It's so underrated, so cheap. And the whole time I was just like, why isn't anyone else here?
Exactly.
There's so few tourists. If you're going to travel in summer here, I highly encourage that you go off the beaten path. You try to do things a little bit different than everyone else. Or at the very least, I hope you understand what you're getting yourself into. Thanks for watching. And if you do come to Europe, I wish you the best of luck.
I wish you the best luck. He's not lying. I've been saying this for a while. Look, That's why, you know, people are like, oh, we come to this country, you should go here. I'm like, go where? Like, I want to go somewhere where not a lot of tourists are hanging around. So comment below, let me know how you feel about this video. Do you agree with him? Okay, make sure you subscribe to his channel. Like, I love watching his videos. I learned so much from him. And make sure you check these videos that I have, and I'll see you lovely people. Take care, be safe.